Hey, welcome back to Newbies to Movies. I'm Justin, and this week I have a special guest on. Longtime friend of mine, went to high school together, ran cross country together. My good friend Drew.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here. Just great movies that we watched. Excited to get to it.
Yeah. Awesome, Drew. So we always like to start out with our new guest. Kind of tell me about some of your favorite movies, your favorite genres, and give me some examples of what you like watching.
Definitely, man. I watch a lot of movies. I watch a lot of TV and a lot of movies, spend a lot of time in front of the screen. So kind of all over the place, but growing up, definitely Marvel movies, action movies, big on all of those, big on anything superhero. Love war movies, love old-timey war movies. Then I started getting into a little bit more film stuff, of course, like everyone else. Started watching Whiplash, and then La La Land is one of my specific favorite movies. Honestly, anything by Damien Chazelle is just fantastic. 1917 war movies, fantastic, one of my favorites. But I do love like just all the old-timey classic movies that I grew up with watching as a kid. A lot of the Pixar movies, Cars, Bug's Life. It's a particular favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Among that list, Toy Stories. But yeah, man, I do watch a lot of movies and excited to watch some more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, now that you're like talking about Bug's Life, I read like a really crazy story about Pixar and Bug's Life this week. So basically, what had happened was Toy Story came out, but they weren't expecting it to be such a big hit. And then they were working on Bug's Life, but the studio was putting a lot of pressure on them and Disney to come out with the Toy Story 2. At the time of them making it, it was supposed to be like a direct to DVD sequel, like no theater action, just kind of throw something out there to keep the kids entertained. And what ended up happening was they took their A team off of Bug's Life and put it on Toy Story 2 and delayed a Bug's Life. Kind of crazy just to hear.
Yeah. No, dude, it was crazy for that Pixar team back then.
Yeah.
I did watch a documentary just about like the making of those early movies. Or not documentary, YouTube video. And the pressure that they were under was pretty intense. But
Yeah.
also like they're breaking ground in 3D animation.
Yeah.
At first with Toy Story, of course, but I think A Bug's Life too is even crazier because you have completely like humans itself are kind of hard, but then you got these bugs over here that just move in so many different ways. The way they handled it was really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a big talking point in the video I watched was basically Disney was going to, if they didn't put out Toy Story 2, they were just going to take it and make their own 2D animation version. And I was like, oh, yeah, everybody can't just do what Pixar did at the time because it was that like groundbreaking. You know what I mean?
Dude, they're crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, kind of getting into this week, a tough task I definitely assigned to Drew was watching Orson Welles movies with me, which is definitely not for the standard movie watcher, just considering how old these movies are. But Orson Welles, he earned 5 total Oscar nominations throughout his career. He won for writing of Citizen Kane, which is something kind of interesting. He wrote and directed and starred in a lot of his movies, while also he ended up receiving an honorary Academy Award, which is a huge feat in itself later in his career. And he kind of revolutionized cinema just by the cinematography. We'll get into that a lot later, but just kind of his nonlinear storytelling, his film techniques were kind of groundbreaking. Yeah, what did you think of Orson Welles in general without getting into the movies? Definitely kind of an interesting dive this week.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the textbook, just the guy who is the textbook. I mean, what he did with some of his framing techniques and the way he portrays characters and conversations is just beautiful, and it really it pulls you into the story as the viewer, and I mean, it really like it put layers on every single conversation. So I'm just super excited. I was so pumped to get Orson Welles and especially to get these 2 movies. I mean, what a entry for me, really threw
Yeah.
me into the fire here, man. No joke.
Yeah, definitely did. It was a tough one. With Tyler being out, I was texting around a lot of people and I was like, if anybody could take this on, I think Drew could take this on and fully dive into it. So I was excited.
Wow, dude. I mean, yeah. I had a blast, and I mean, honestly, I think both of these movies are worth quite a few more rewatches
Yeah.
just so I could like just really get into it some more because
Yeah.
there's so much to dig into. But Orson Welles being 25 years old doing this is mind-boggling. I mean, insane, and at the same time, just absolutely revolutionizing filmmaking and what
Yeah.
it is for us. So Yeah, 2 great movies, 2 great ones that we're gonna dive into.
Yeah. So before we kind of do that, we also always like to talk about what we've been watching this week. I'll start because you brought up Damien Chazelle. I actually watched Babylon for the first time this week. I don't know how to
No
feel.
way.
I don't know how to feel about it.
No way. Tell
So
really?
I don't know. It felt like a fever dream. It just
Yeah.
felt like a mess, like in a good way, I guess. There was so much going on all the time. Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt, obviously starring, they were pretty great in it. I thought their roles were really well written, but it definitely felt like it was a lot in one movie. It felt like this movie could have cut an hour and it still would have made sense. That I don't like when movies are over 2 hours and 30 minutes. It really bothers me. Maybe it's just our short attention spans as Gen Z. I don't know,
Mm.
but yeah, that was kind of killing me a little bit. But tell me what you thought about it, because I really like Damien Chazelle as a director too.
Dude, I mean, that sounds like tit to tat as, the perfect, like, first time reaction. That's
Yeah.
exactly how it was. Because I remember going out to watch that in theaters for the first time, and pretty sure I went with Sam Derby and Hayden Tobin, actually, and, man, we walked out of there just eyes wide open, minds blown, kinda tired because it was really long, but, like, what the fuck? What a roller coaster of a movie.
Yeah.
Just a roller coaster of emotions. And something that I think that is really fun is when I was watching Touch of Evil, and I know we're not allowed to touch it. You know what? I'll save that one. I'll save that one.
Okay.
But
Okay.
there's it's a beautiful tribute to Hollywood,
Hmm.
without a doubt. And I do think that after my first watch, I was like, I don't know how to feel about that. I've probably seen it like 3 or 4 times since then. It
Yeah.
is one of my favorite movies. It's very like the rewatch value is fantastic there because I feel like you already kind of have an idea where the story's going and you can pay attention more to, the way that the conversations are framed and the certain shots that they did for things and then also just the fantastic acting from everyone in that movie.
Yeah.
I forget the lead's name of Margot Robbie's the guy that she ends up marrying
Yeah.
at
The
the end.
Hispanic guy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that he's one of my favorite actors now. I wanna watch a lot more of stuff. I wanna watch a lot more with him. So
That's
I
the
think
tough
it's
part, because it wasn't received well, and I haven't seen him in
I
anything
know.
since. So I'm like, oh, is he going to get thrown out of Hollywood because of this too? Like Chazelle has talked about, like he's like, I don't know if I'll ever get a movie again because of how bad and poorly received this is.
Blows my
I
mind. It
know, that's what
blows
I'm saying.
my mind.
Yeah,
But also, like, when you're first like, the first 40 seconds of the or what, like, 4 minutes of the film, I mean, you're getting elephant dump, fucking pooped right on your face. I can understand why there might be some initial shock for people when they also see that with a 3-hour timestamp on it. We got, like, 3 hour you said it earlier. Everything over 2 hours and 30 minutes can be tough. You don't see a lot of success. I mean, you look at Lord of the Rings, that's one of the few movies that has kinda made that happen consistently as well. But I think that Babylon might end up being one of those movies that, similar to Citizen Kane, that wasn't received well at the box office, was kind
yeah.
of a flop, but, over time, more and more is gonna show its value.
Yeah, I agree, especially telling such an in-depth story about Hollywood. Definitely dramatized a lot of biblical references in the movie itself too. But yeah, I agree. I think over time this is going to get kind of looked back upon and being like, oh, okay, I don't know why we didn't like this movie so much.
How'd you feel about the ending, though? That was a seizure.
Yeah, it was a lot going on. I mean, obviously that was the paying homage to Hollywood, right? Like there was literally a flash through scene. It was fast. I remember seeing Terminator, Avatar, 2001: A Space Odyssey, obviously paying homage to all the different eras of Hollywood and, what it became over time as this movie takes place in like the 1920s. But it was cool. It was cool. I wonder how he got all the rights to that, because that must have been a nightmare.
Dude, definitely. Yeah, man. Wow, you might have just hit my wild card on the head right there. I can't lie. I'm gonna have to move to option 2.
So
But,
what have you been watching lately? What have you been diving into? It could be a TV show too, if you'd like.
good. I hope it is, man, because it has been a TV show. We've been binging through Better Call Saul.
Okay,
I don't know if you've seen that yet, but
I haven't, but
oh, have you seen
I
have you seen
know what
Breaking
it's
Bad?
about. Nope.
Wow. Alright, so You should watch it for the man, you have to watch it.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Being a movie lover,
Yeah.
some of the shots in Better Call Saul and, and Breaking Bad are just fantastic. But yeah, me and my girlfriend, we've been watching through Better Call Saul. It's her first time, probably my third. Huge fan. Love Jimmy. Love Jimmy McGill. Love Saul. I'm excited for you to watch that one, man. You're gonna enjoy that. It's a
I've
good
had
one.
that high on my list for a long time. And I know it's not
Yeah.
even that long, but I don't know what's like stopping me. I guess sitting down and turning it on is the only thing.
And they're hour episodes,
Yeah.
and it's like 10 a season, so it's definitely a commitment. And what's kind of cool is like Breaking Bad was, it was a hit phenomenon when it came out, when it eventually gained popularity after like season 2, season 3. But Better Call Saul is just a complete spin-off from
Yeah.
that show, arguably the better show at this point.
Wow.
With it, so it's both of them are fantastically shot. The cinematography is top notch. Acting is great, and I mean, definitely been should be on your list. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. That and like Pirates of the Caribbean this past week because I was at the beach.
Okay,
You got
there
to
you
have a
go.
little pirate movie in.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we'll try and play this game that me and Mason played last week. So let me share it on the screen here. Basically, it's like Wordle. We will just basically try to guess a movie. So it should give us a couple categories. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So since it'll
Shit.
be the first guess and you're the guest, just give me a movie that you want to start with.
Any movie?
Any movie ever.
It's just a huge question, man.
We could do
All
Pirates
right,
of the
let's start out
Caribbean.
with
We can do
no.
Babylon.
Let's start out with
You're gonna hit me with a deep pool.
Once Upon a Time. Nah, I'm thinking about it.
In Hollywood?
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We'll
Okay.
go with that one. Nice, easy one.
That's a good start. There's a lot of actors in that.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. It gave us the genre is comedy. So it is wrong, but we do have that it was before 2019.
Comedy before 2019. All
Yeah.
right, give me
Trying to think here.
40-Year-Old Virgin.
That's good. Also, if we get any of the actors, it should pop up here.
Main actor's 44. I'm guessing that's our
It's
lead.
also before 2005, it's saying.
Ooh, jump down into the 90s. Go Airplane.
Airplane's good. Oh, the 80s.
There we go. We're jumping real
Okay.
down.
It's in between the
All right,
two.
between.
We can
got-
go like, when did Zoolander come out? Was that after 2005?
I think that was like 2000.
Well, we can
that
look.
was right around there. It was right
Okay.
around there.
Let's do that. Okay, before
Yeah,
2001. Dude, we're getting stuck. All right, hold on. Yeah, we got to shoot for like 1990 here. That would really help us.
We got Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah, when did that come out?
Maybe.
That's
No,
2006.
2006.
Hmm.
What am I talking about? What do you got?
What's the one with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker?
Friday?
Yeah, Friday. That had to be in the 90s.
Yeah, we need a.
That's
we know
95.
we
We
know
could
some
take
90s
it.
comedy movies. Wow, in the
All right.
gaps.
So we're right there in the
So
middle.
no black actors.
No, we haven't crossed anybody off the actor list. I feel like this is going to be like a weird movie. I mean, we should have hit something by now. Who was big in the 90s?
Comedy actor in the 90s. I mean, you got all the SNL guys coming up, but they were still on SNL. So who was ahead of them?
What about Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, dude. I feel like I'm Eddie Murphy. Three Amigos right there. It's 1986. Too late.
I have never seen that.
No, it's too late. That's
Oh, yeah.
what's his name?
I'm trying to think. Now I'm stuck on Eddie Murphy.
Caddyshack. When is that? That's 80s too.
Yeah.
See, I like all those.
We're looking like
apparently.
98, 99.
What the hell came out then?
That's such a good question, bro. We weren't even born.
I know. It's right before us. Lord of the Rings was starting to come out.
Nothing.
Pulling up Chat GPT now.
Dude, I can't. This is crazy. And everybody in this movie is kind of old.
I don't know why we're blanking so hard. I bet we probably would know it too. We've probably seen it.
Are we giving up? Because I'm stuck.
I feel like we can come up with another movie. But yeah, I'm just about ready to give up.
Hold on here. Hold on.
I think funny movies. You got
Hold
scary
on.
movies. It was probably 2000s. Yeah,
Nothing?
95,
It's just we got
96.
the year right.
So it's
Okay.
not happy. It's none of them Happy Madison guys.
Yeah.
Is Zoolander, or it still it could be. It could be Chris Tucker, maybe. I feel like he
Dude,
was
this is
early
crazy.
2000s.
We haven't got a single actor. These are such different movies. Alright, dude, I'm giving up. I can't.
Yeah, give up, give up. This is bad.
The what?
We
The
would have had no
birdcage?
chance. What's wrong with us, though? We didn't do
Yeah,
anything with
we
Robin
didn't do
Williams.
anything with Robin Williams.
We're like, oh, who's a funny actor in the 90s?
It was him, of course.
Yeah, we gotta scrap all this, dude.
Dude, might cut that one from the show. That was embarrassing.
Dude, it's all right. We're newbies. We're just newbies to movies.
Oh God, he said the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. I'm excited to talk about Citizen Kane.
Let's
That
get
one was
into
good
Touch of
too. And
Evil
Touch of
first.
Evil.
We
Let's
gotta
get into it.
show we know a little ball here. So first, diving into the plot of Touch of Evil, I gave it an 8. It follows a Mexican narcotics agent, Mike Vargas, whose honeymoon was disrupted by a car bombing. As Vargas investigates, he kind of uncovers the corruption and racism with the American police captain played by Orson Welles. His name was Hank Quinlan, and he kind of plants evidence to frame suspects, and it's kind of assumed that he does that through his whole career. But yeah, I really liked the plot of this movie. Definitely like a noir style film. It was really interesting. It kept me engaged the whole time. And I think the character development was done pretty well too.
Yeah. I mean, really good movie. The plot, I like that you said assume, because one of the first things I picked up on from The Americans, from Orson Welles and Quinlan, the character he's playing, was the assumptions that he was making just
Yeah.
off the bat. I mean, the assumptions about the dynamite, about Mike's wife, about Mike's wife supposed to not be white because he's Mexican. But I mean, this whole thing was really good. There was so much setup and payoff. It felt like it was just from the opening shot with the explosion in the beginning, with the box reveal when they show you the box where the dynamite was held, and then it goes for like 5 minutes right there before it's revealed, like, oh wait, he planted the dynamite inside this shoebox. But overall, just it felt like the classic noir. It felt like the textbook for a noir movie. Just badass, good versus evil. With, I mean, Vargas, man, he was awesome. He was playing such a fun. He was just playing a badass the whole time. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Excited about this one.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, kind of getting into that with the characters. I liked a lot of the main cast, but the side characters felt a little shallow to me. I mean, that's going to happen, especially in such an older film like this. Specifically, I like Hank Quinlan and Mike Vargas. Those are obviously set up to be the protagonist and the antagonist. Susan, the wife, was pretty interesting as well too. A little, I don't know how you say it. I guess she was just kind of a little corny at some points. Every scream was like such a 1950s shriek in the movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're going to get that with kind of the age of this film. But other than that, I think the characters were pretty good.
Yeah, man. Quinlan, Orson Welles, I mean, he was hilarious at first. Like his character introduction it just cracked me up. He had at the beginning when he was like in his element before he eventually was getting corrupted throughout the movie. Like he was a badass as well. He came in, that initial stare down to everyone was tough. What's the name? But I thought his character was probably my favorite, just as you watch the slow decline of like his human spirit, and as he gets caught for what he's done, and then eventually he gets caught, and then he starts going to the drinking, gets into some problems, gets into some bribery, and then eventually leads to the one thing that he apparently hates the most, because it happened to his wife, which murdering, in fact strangling too, which I decided to get into that because I thought that was pretty crazy. But Vargas is badass. I got it written down right here. 3730. Mike, sunglasses inside. Badass. There's one scene where he's like walking across the street, puts on his sunglasses. He walks like 4 steps, gets inside the building. Just like badass, takes them off, dude. I kind of like timestamped because I had to go back, and I love that bit so much. But just quickly, the side characters, the grandes, sort of funny racist, the main guy, kind of bad at the same time. But the cousins, the little nephews, I hated those suckers, man. They were
Yeah.
pissing me off, dude. That one little guy who's jumping, bouncing up and down all the time.
I
I wanted
know.
to sock him in the face, man. I couldn't tell if it was bad acting or if I just hated them. It wasn't the best acting. It was pretty bad. But I mean, there was some crazy some crazy. They kind of I didn't like them at first as they're pissing me off, and then that whole subversion where you think that his wife is getting raped and drugged
Mhm.
in the room. I mean, my mouth like dropped.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit! Like this movie felt like it had some good comedic bits, a big relief in the beginning, and then like, bam, all right, shit's getting a little more serious.
Which is interesting because for this time, that was not something you would like put in a movie like that either. This is dark for its time.
Dude, yeah, I mean, a and you're wondering the whole time, they're leading up to it. They're like the ladies turn off the music. She's like, they're coming for you, like tapping through the window or tapping through the wall, and you see them converging around her, and you think like, "What like, this is what's gonna happen," but there's no way they're gonna do that, and, it's almost like subverting your expectations by doing the expected. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool just because no one expected that to actually be put on a screen. So
Yeah.
I bet at the time too, I mean, that may be a part of why it wasn't so well received in the theaters.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting into the cinematography, obviously something Orson Welles is so well known for. I mean, you can just start off in the opening scene, that tracking shot with the car, knowing that we know what's in the car, but everybody around has no idea. That was so well done. Really expressionistic lighting. I thought the lighting was really well done in this movie. Obviously,
Mhm.
considering it's in black and white, but I think the framing of everybody too and their scenes was really well done, especially with the wife Susan and kind of seeing the people following her while early in the movie while
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. Mike was there, but not seeing them as well, but we can see them in the background. Obviously, cool film trick that's been used for generations now. Just kind of the overall cinematography was really good. And I think it made for like a really unsettling kind of film.
Yeah, dude, totally agree. I mean, Orson Welles, he commands the camera.
Yeah.
Like what you see is everything is intended, and it's really fun to watch because it feels like you just have to pay attention to all parts of the movie. How he keeps the entire like such a wide screen in focus all the time, and you have to, like you said, you have to pay attention to the background characters. Where in some other movies, it's like big Hollywood movies nowadays, background actors are throwaways,
Yeah.
but at this point, anyone could be integral to the plot of the story. So I think that was awesome. Like, yeah, holy shit, opening shot. I mean, just what a great long take. It throws you into the movie. It tells you the story, and it helps you understand like what's going on and who everyone is. I really enjoyed the conversations. I think that he makes conversations so entertaining, like you said, with the way he frames it. The moving car conversation when they're ripping through the streets was
Yep.
particularly awesome, and then it flips to like a wide pan up as the car is going away. I mean, it's a huge dolly. That's a huge shot. It's like for the time. Now, granted, this was 1958, so it's already been some time and
Yeah.
things are developing. But I mean, his cinematography, I got it down as, yeah, 9 out of 10. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed.
Kind of getting into what you're talking about with the dialogue, I gave it a 9. I think I was coming into this week kind of expecting a really corny, old school style dialogue, and I got everything but that. I mean, sure, there was the scenes that had it, and it was like, okay, this is that, but definitely not scared to tell it how it is. I mean, especially writing, you got to think he's writing a racist, corrupt cop for himself. I mean, the nuts on this guy. And if that's portrayed badly, you're out of Hollywood. Like nobody likes you anymore. But it's
Dude,
so well
yeah.
written and like even for some reason you can kind of like understand what Orson Welles' character is going through. Hank, you like not that what he's doing is right, but you somehow are connecting with him as being like a down on his luck man who's just out of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Even when like, after a certain point in the movie, like, hey, like this is like he is planting this stuff. Like he planted this dynamite I still wanted to root for him a little bit, because he's supposed to be one of the good guys there. But some of the dialogue, I also have it as a 9. I enjoyed some of the like classic badass kind of lines coming out of Quinlan and coming out of Vargas. Like Vargas is like, I won't give you a chance to test your authority on this matter. Talking to one of the dudes, I thought that was hard, but some of the comedic relief was really what made it for me. I was laughing like, watch your blood pressure. You lost your rug when the Grandy's guy loses his head. Like it's classic like slapstick, throw it in there real quick, but it's still like thought out. And yeah, I mean, but Quinlan's introduction hops out of the car and he's like, "Did they toss it or plant it? Who? Whoever did it, jackass." I mean, he comes in just with an elite character introduction.
Yeah,
So like you kind of know like who you're going to get with this guy.
yeah.
And that's what we see throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, just
But
one or two lines can really stick a character trope right onto the character. And that was all you needed to know exactly. Like, this guy's a no bullshit kind of guy. My favorite line was from Tanya. I don't know if she was like a gypsy or some kind of therapist, but at the end, obviously, once, spoiler alert, you've had 60 years, but when Hank Quinlan's kind of on his deathbed, she said to the other officer, she said he was some kind of man. I thought that was interesting. Because
what
like
does
we
it
talked
matter
about,
what you say about people?
yeah, just because, even though he was a terrible person, did a lot of terrible things, for some reason we still connected with him as a character as well.
Yeah, he was some kind of man. I really liked that. I mean, that was the closing line too. That was I really enjoyed that one as well. It's yeah, it was hard because you wanted to root for him, and then after a certain point, it was like man, this guy like he's turned.
Yeah.
He is fully gone into his vices.
We saw
Like
that
he
with
was
his
kind of
drinking. Yeah.
exactly. That was exactly how it was portrayed. And right at he's what is I don't drink, and then that second time he said it, he had already taken half the shot.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like he's already going down the well, and from there it was just a huge spiral. But shoot, did we already get on the cinematography? No, yeah, man, that was really cool.
Yeah. Getting into the set design, I thought it was really interesting here. They shot a lot of the actual locations in Venice, California, made it really look like a very seedy US Mexico border town.
Hmm.
And the art directors were Robert Clatworthy and Alexander Goldson. And they kind of crafted really distorted environments. I felt when they were running around the city, I was kind of lost with them, but I think that was the point, right? They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know it was around every turn. And I think that was pretty well done. So I gave it a 7 for set design.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely agree with what you're saying about running around the city.
Yeah.
It was clearly, it was intentionally confusing, but that just added to the pressure and the buildup that we were feeling to that point, and just the trying to get to the eventual peak and then the relief and the payoff after. But yeah, I thought for one thing, much better explosive budget. I mean, we got the car blown up at the beginning, got some dynamite going off.
Yeah.
I was pleased with that, but they still gave it like it still had like that classic. Yeah, you can't really avoid that with these classic Hollywood movies because that's what it is. But just had the classic Hollywood feel with
Yeah.
some of the sets. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Definitely good.
Yeah. Getting into acting, I gave it an 8. I thought it was really well done by Orson Welles here. Very grotesque performance, but again, we kind of talked about how we somehow kind of associated with him as a character, which is really interesting. And then, obviously him writing that character for himself, crazy.
Hmm.
And then I think the Vargas was a really good character too. The acting was done really well, as well as Janet Leigh. I think she did pretty good as Susan, just kind of trapped in a web of corruption. It was interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, talk about trapped. That poor woman. Although I don't know. I feel like Vargas should have sent her way back home
Yeah,
just from the get go. Unfortunate that she got sent to the one resort that was also owned by the Grandes. That's just bad luck right there. But I I didn't really dislike her acting too much. I thought she was pretty good.
yeah,
I enjoyed her. I thought it was a nice, damsel in distress, good trope and very fun. But Quinlan, just top notch. Orson, he was hilarious. I know we talked about it before, like the Grandes and the Mexican gangsters, they were all right. Not probably the weakest acting of the bunch,
Yeah.
but I think Orson and Vargas were, I mean, top notch. That fight scene when Vargas is just raging and just uncontrollably, like, where is my wife? Like,
Yeah.
my wife. He's screaming at these kids. He's picking them up, smashing them into the jukebox. Then he like walks this one guy down when he runs away, and he picks him up with one hand like he's the Hulk.
Yeah.
He's like walking this kid back. I thought that was awesome, and I'm like, this is a movie from 1958. This
Yeah.
is this is so much fun. But really, really enjoyed the acting. The Grundys took some out of it
Yeah.
for sure. I gave it an 8 at the end of the day. I wanted to give it a 9, but there were some weak moments from the Grundys for
For
sure.
sure. Yeah. Directing, I gave it a 9. Obviously, Wells had a really bold direction coming into this. Like we talked about, it's a very dark story to tell, especially at this time. We obviously can talk about it. Wells is just so iconic for introducing all these different kinds of film techniques and styles. Obviously, we talked about the very long tracking shots in the beginning. That was pretty amazing. I thought this kind of Mexican standoff at the end was done really well. I know it wasn't a typical one, but obviously, you have Vargas following him with the recorder, the other guy talking to Quinlan, trying to get him to confess. That whole thing was really interesting. And I thought it was shot really well too, especially when he'd be like, hey, what was that sound? And the camera shoots over really fast. I think it was done really well for its time. Definitely not an easy feat to do at the time.
Dude, yeah, that shot was fun.
Yeah.
I specifically love that huge radio that Vargas was walking around with, like the antenna that's like 8 feet long, and he's like underneath the bridge. It's just loud as hell. But that's what's great about Quinlan is that you know he's drunk, but they say like the best drunk actors, you're supposed to pretend like you're not drunk,
Yeah.
like you're drunk trying not to be. I don't feel like he was doing that, but it was such a fun scene. The What I just really loved was how the movement of the characters in the story was directed clearly by the camera, and the camera felt like just a part of it. There was one scene where like you have the camera face in the back seat of the car with Vargas in the front, someone else in the front, someone to your left, and they're having a conversation, looking out, showing you something, and then it cuts to outside the car, looking back in, and you're in the position of where Quinlan was. And it was just done. It was just done so beautifully. It was done seamlessly, done so well, and also something that Orson is just a king of is transitioning between these scenes
Yeah.
and being able to move one actor into a scene at the end of one scene to begin the next one. Your eyes start to drift, and you start to see them talking and coming out, and then the focus shifts, and then the camera shifts with you. So just really great storytelling. It keeps the viewer engaged, kept me engaged. I felt like a cat looking at a laser. It was just an awesome movie. But 9 out of 10 for directing,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Getting into the soundtrack, I gave it a 7. I thought it was pretty well done. Henry Mancini, I read a little bit about this. Rather than choosing to do like a traditional orchestral score, definitely heavily relied on at this time of filmmaking. He
Mhm.
wanted to kind of craft a jazz, Latin, rock, blues mix, especially being on a border town, which is definitely going above and beyond, right? We want to see that when making music and using music to kind of portray plot points. And I think it was pretty well done.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree. I was a little. This is probably the one category I was like not so sure about just knowing these movies because I'm not the biggest fan of the classic old school music, trumpets blaring, very fast paced, moving back and forth. But I mean, he did such a beautiful job, especially like you said, mixing in the jazz elements. I think you really see that towards the end when they jump into the nightclub and it pans to like this another fat awesome cut, great editing with like this fast pan or this fast cut, excuse me, to the singer of his face starting off the song. Thought the theme was good. I thought I was expecting to not like it as much as I did. Gave it an 8 at the end of the day. I thought it was strong and it just complemented the movie so well.
Yeah. And then getting into themes of the movie, I gave it an 8. I thought it was really well done, especially for its time.
Mhm.
Just diving into the overall moral decay of humanity and how and corruption kind of carries you that way. But at its core, questions whether the law should be upheld by strict moral codes or questionable methods of those people who are in power, like Quinlan, which again, very deep for its time. I don't think a lot of movies were really throwing in, really thinkable themes like this. So yeah, definitely really great and well done, well executed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, good versus evil. There was so much going on throughout the beginning of the movie felt at first like a classic buddy cop, movie trope,
Yeah,
with like a great noir aesthetic to it. And then it shifts into like betrayal from someone who's supposed to be trustworthy. And then we start talking, we throughout the time we would realize we're talking about this decay of man, while at the same time, like there's a righteous good on the other side fighting it. Beautiful theme. Gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. What else do I have here? Yeah, Quinlan fell apart when he was confronted by like an equally as powerful force,
hmm
but on the opposite side of the spectrum.
yeah,
Like I feel I've just been saying like good and evil, but that's just really the end vibe I was getting from them. Even though like Vargas had one moment of rage and it was still justified.
yeah,
And he still at that time didn't do anything rash. But
yeah,
after finally being like after like Quentin runs into Vargas for the first time, like it was set up at the beginning, like they've heard about each other. They're both huge characters. That's when his spiraling begins and just his inevitable downfall. And it's just portrayed so well throughout the different shots throughout the movie, representations, like we said, from the drinking,
yeah.
but just a great movie.
Yeah, and
Top notch.
what foresight to use some imagery like alcoholism as like, I mean, at the time, obviously, everybody drank all the time. It was just kind of what
Mhm,
happened. And so to use that and portray it in such a negative way, right, with his character's downfall, it's, yeah, such good
mhm.
foresight. Like that holds up so well today, where I feel like back in the day, that wasn't like a huge thing to hook onto a character as being a negative trope, you know?
Yeah, I dude, 100%. And they also did that, a bit. They foreshadowed it with, like, his sex in the brothel that he was going to. I guess she was
Yeah,
a psychic,
yeah,
but I guess he would just go there a bunch. It was implied
yeah.
what was going on there. But something I wrote down that I just wanted to touch on is that they, like, gave us a Chekhov's gun with Quinlan's wife's murder when they just, like, excuse me, they gave us that gun at the beginning when they're giving us this foreshadowing of like, this is how she was killed, and he hates stranglers, and then it cuts to his wife is on the bed, passed out, supposedly like drugged and raped, and he's standing over, and you're thinking in your head like he's gonna strangle her, like
Yeah.
this is gonna be this is gonna be like his final big thing. Ends up being kind of worse, but pretty crazy, pretty crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Getting into the editing, I gave it a 7. To kind of some backstory on this, I don't know if you read about it. So what happened was why this movie was so poorly received when it first came out was Universal cut it up without Wells' permission, basically, removing a lot of the cross cutting and adding a lot of exposition in. And then
Mm,
finally in 1998, that late down the line, an editor named Walter Murick used Wells' detailed 58-page memo he wrote to Universal when they were editing it, and they pretty much ignored it at the time. But he used that memo to re-edit the film how he thought Wells intentionally meant for it to be edited, and restored it to its intended, structure. So
wow.
the version that we watched, the version that you'll see out now, was the one that they re-edited to fix and make how Wells and originally intended. So definitely would be interesting to go back and see if you could find a version of it that was, cut up the original one and see how different it could have
Uh,
been, because that could make a huge difference. I think editing is a huge part of how a movie is framed and shaped for the audience. So that could be, why this movie wasn't really well intentionally received at the beginning, but now is regarded as a really great movie.
Yeah, wow, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, the editing was actually one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
It felt just all the cuts felt smooth and consistent. There were some fun shots with the actors framing their conversations, just making you feel more involved. The editing throughout the fights, I think, was done well, and in my opinion, like I've seen it in so many movies since then, that it feels like, wow, this is clearly the blueprint of like where this started from,
Yeah.
just for like those short, quick fights there. So I ended up giving that an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
I thought the editing was strong.
So overall for Touch of Evil, I gave it a 7.8 out of 10 or 78. Might seem low, but I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's obviously really well done for its time. I think Orson Welles is pretty amazing. But yeah, what'd you give it?
8.3.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good score.
Man, it's deserving.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a classic, the classic detective movie so far that I've seen at least. You know, there's a lot more I need to watch.
Yeah. And then we'll get right into Citizen Kane. Obviously, probably his most famous movie, one of the most famous movies of all time, one of the most talked about for sure. I was really excited coming into this just to see what all the hype's about. I hear people reference this movie all the time.
Hmm.
But getting into the plot, I gave it 8. Citizen Kane follows the life of a wealthy publishing tycoon named Charles Foster Kane. After his death, the some news reporters kind of are following and trying to track down the meaning of the word he says, his final word. He says rosebud. So they're following it around, investigating it, asking friends, family, acquaintances, kind of what rosebud meant to him. And they're kind of, as they're doing this, we're getting flashbacks through the life of Charles Foster Kane, and they finally never really investigate and understand what the word means. Obviously, at the ending, we realize it was the name on the sled that he had when he was a child. We'll kind of get into what, I guess I would ask you what you kind of think of the meaning of the ending of this movie. But yeah, really interesting plot. I thought it was really well done. What do you think of Rosebud? What do you think the meaning of it is?
Man, I think Rosebud is like him thinking to the only time in his life where money wasn't everything, you know,
Yeah.
where things are like, it goes back to our initial setup shot when we have the banker, the mom, and the pa, and then you have the kid clearly outside of the room,
Hmm.
out playing, enjoying, having fun. Even though it was, you know, implied that that wasn't like the best place, I think that and that's what it was when you look at Rosebud, that's his childhood sled. He's thinking back to just that pure happiness and that joy that he's been searching for this entire movie, trying to fill with women, with money, with power, and that he never can.
Hmm.
He was never able to. And that's why he kept on searching for all this because he was always unhappy and he was never able to get back to just that true happiness that he once had. Uh,
Yeah.
but I mean, just what a great plot. He wanted to be the champion of the working class at the beginning. It's Orson, you know, it's kind of another one, just like Touch of Evil, where we touch on the corruption of a man by power and you know, also him, especially because of money. But like when he first started out, he wanted to be the champion of the working class, even though he really had no connection to them at all. Like it's kind of like this heroic white knight that you know doesn't actually put in the work, doesn't really
Yeah.
understand where they are, and that's why I feel like you know he never got their approval in the end because he it was a facade and he
Hmm.
couldn't be the person he was trying to be.
Yeah.
And they just the whole plot, the whole movie did a great job of portraying his slow breakdown and how throughout his life he was influenced by power mongers and money, and how it changed him fundamentally as a person. It got him farther away from his rosebud and the happiness he was trying to find.
Yeah, I think it was obviously just a homage to that turning point in his life, right? Like that was the last point in his life where he had love, he had happiness, and he that was him dying, thinking back to, hey, maybe this is when the last time I had these things. So very interesting. Getting into the characters, I gave it an 8 as well. I think Charles Foster Kane, obviously, probably one of the best written characters in this movie, but it was really interesting to dive into the different characters as we're kind of watching it through Charles Foster's lens, but also as we're meeting all these new characters, we're learning about them through his life, but also after his death as well, kind of in the interviews, which again, Orson Welles is just a masterclass in framing and editing of movies. Really interesting to see a movie done like this, especially for its time.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, Orson Welles is just such an amazing actor to portray his character like throughout the different seasons of his life. I think he does a really good job. with that as well. And I thought it was really fun to be kind of like thrown into the beginning part of the movie where you are watching like the obituary or whatever they're trying to put out, just kind of like, man, this isn't very good. Like this isn't bad. And then boom, it cuts to like all of the guys that we're working with here and the guy kind of saying what the audience is thinking, like, we got to do more on this. We got to get on it. We got to go out. I really enjoyed, shoot, what was his name? Lehman? Lehman. I mean, Bernstein is a pretty funny character. I enjoyed him. His wife, not my favorite. She
Which
was all
one?
right. Yeah, right. The the second one first. But dude, I mean, I don't know. It was a pretty crazy movie. Lots of characters, a lot going on altogether.
Yeah,
But yeah, Orson Welles just kills it.
yeah,
What an actor.
yeah. Cinematography, I gave it an absolute 10. I think this was so well done in this movie. A lot of sweeping camera movements, a lot of fade transitioning, which was huge at the
Mhm.
time. A lot of montages. I think of the scene when he told his guardian, the banker, that he wanted to, run the publishing tycoon and kind of take it over, and then he started kind of putting out all those really bad newspaper headlines that were against his guardian. And every time he'd flash to him, he's just like, he did it again. And it kept flashing and flashing. It was actually one of the first montages ever used in these movies. So pretty neat to see something like that that we take for granted now. Just they're in every kind of movie for comedic relief all the time. So interesting to see shots like,
That's awesome. I was gonna ask, like, I feel like that has to be one of the first
yeah,
right there. But definitely we definitely take montages for granted.
yeah,
But also, like, a good montage when you see one.
yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street, I mean, like, I think that's The Big Short as
Hmm.
well. Those are 2, like, specific movies where, like, a montage can either add or take away from a story.
Yeah,
And it just depends on, how well you're doing it and really how involved the viewer is before it or after.
yeah,
But pretty cool. Cinematography, 9 out of 10 for me. I like that you touched on the lighting. The lighting, was a masterclass in, especially for being black and white. I mean, there's so much depth to every shot, and there's the lighting directs your eyes exactly where you want it to be. I like to point to the scene where he's going into, I think he's at some library or something. One of the guys working for the news reporter, and he's trying to find stuff about Kane's life. And like you walk in and you have this huge lamp shot, boom, like a massive triangle down the scene. You got this evil looking library lady.
yeah.
I don't know why they made the librarian like evil. She was like the evil librarian from Monsters Inc. But dude, she was probably the scariest character in the whole movie, to be
Yeah,
honest, man. She was creeping me out. But the lighting and that scene specifically, and then also just all throughout the entire movie was fantastic.
yeah,
Use of reflections, I thought was really cool and definitely new for the time. Like is I forget, I don't know what the actual technique's called, but just having, an overlay of
mhm,
characters on a shot when they were looking at not the TV, I think, but the
mm,
Chronicle picture of the other writers for the rival newspaper, like you get to see that with the reflection of Kane and Bernstein in the window. I thought that was, without a doubt revolutionary for the time and something that we've seen copied and
yeah.
not copied, but used and implemented into so many other movies since then.
And then it faded into them taking a picture at the new Chronicle. I was like, "Yeah, that's
Yes.
so crazy."
Yes, dude. That's like just we'll have to get into that right there with the with the directing and the editing, man. Like
Yeah,
that fade was fantastic.
yeah,
And it was just at the time, you got to imagine with the cameras and what they were working with, like it's so impressive.
yeah,
It's so much almost more impressive than what's going on today. So yeah, cinematography 9 out of 10 easily.
yeah. Getting into the dialogue, I gave it a 7. This is the one thing I had a little bit of issue with in this movie. There was so many times where conversations were overlapping with each other. Somebody would be stating something, and before they got to the end of the sentence, the other person would already start talking. And it was kind of like a brain wrestle, dude. I was like trying to figure out what was going on and what conversations they were having, which I know everybody's talking really fast, which is fine. But when they start overlapping, that's when it threw me a little bit.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I think the actual dialogue itself was good, but the overlapping killed me a little bit in this movie.
dude. Yeah, I can understand that. It was definitely
Yeah.
fast paced. It kind of felt like just, classic fun old school Hollywood style
Yeah.
too, because similar to Touch of Evil, there's comedic relief, and it felt a lot more like slapstick in Citizen Kane, and with some of the comedic relief that they were throwing in, but it was just so fast paced that sometimes it was just a lot to take in. I mean, I definitely watched it with subtitles. That helped. I had to turn them on after a little bit because things were moving.
Yeah. My favorite line was he said, Mr. Thatcher, if I hadn't been very rich, I might have been a really great man.
Yes.
I think this is so interesting just because obviously how money can corrupt people and your ideas. Being a really great man was in there, but the corruption of money and how that led him down the path that he realized he wouldn't get back from.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that quote. I actually don't have a specific quote from this one. I was honestly
A lot of
kind of
good ones.
locked. I was kind of locked in the entire time.
Yeah,
I just couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I was so invested. But I gave the dialogue I gave it an 8 out of 10. Thought it was fast paced, some good comedic relief,
yeah,
but just at the same time, touching on the downfall of man
yeah.
and the corruption from greed and money.
Yeah. Getting into set design, I gave it an 8. Nothing too special. I thought all the sets looked really good for
Mhm.
the time. Obviously, like we talked about, they used lighting really well on these sets, so definitely helped out a lot. But nothing in particular stood out any crazy things, but I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah, yeah. I gave it a 9. I mean, I didn't see any. I thought Xanadu was well done.
Yeah.
The perspective shots there. I'm assuming that was just like a model shot from a distance. But I always look for like inconsistencies and problems with the set, and that's something I'm always kind of looking for, is like for filmmakers to slip up, and you're just not going to see that with any of Orson's movies.
Yeah.
You just have no chance.
And then with the acting, I gave it an 8. I thought it was really well done. Obviously, Wells was 25 years old when he directed and starred in this film, making his motion picture debut. He crafted all the characters in this movie, but he crafted a great character for himself. Really idealistic, bitter man. I
Hmm.
just think it was so well done. He stood out as the main character for me that I really liked the acting with, but I think everybody did fine in this as well.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Everyone did fine, and Orson was, superb.
Yeah,
I mean, it shows why he's considered one of the greatest actors. He just his ability to kind of elevate actors around him, and like while still just doing such a good job of convincing you that he is a character is top notch. And he portrayed, Kane in such a kind of similar to what we were talking about with Touch of Evil, where you're rooting for the guy a lot more for
yeah,
Kane, of course, but he portrays him in such a lovable light. When you look at him, he's really just a silver spoon kind of crybaby all the
yeah,
time who just wants power and money. But that comes with the corruption of being in that world and being around all of those different types of people. Acting was great, 9 out of 10. Just because I mean, most of the movie was Orson. He
yeah.
did such a good job.
Yeah, I mean, just following on him as well. Obviously, he directed this movie. I gave it an 8. I thought it was pretty amazing, revolutionized filmmaking. Very good at integrating lighting techniques, and then the overlapping dialogue. Again, I know that's more on dialogue, but with the overall directing, I would have liked to seen that cut out a little bit. But besides that, really impressive, and obviously kind of stood the test of time. We're still talking about it today.
I mean, yeah, fast edits while portraying emotion. It
Hmm.
felt like he just does such a good job of like mood, really just giving you the emotion without having to speak it, through the dialogue itself. I think that there's a fun shot when we're getting introduced to his first wife, I believe, and it's like this shot coming down from the window, looking through a glass, and it cuts with like rainwater on the glass into the inside. Just impressive editing. The there was this one bird scream when he's like, "Have you ever talked about the death of his wife?" And it like this crazy dramatic cut to like this parakeet screaming. You remember that?
Yeah.
It felt out of nowhere at first. I was like, "What the hell?" Then I was like, "All right, maybe it's like representing the his internal agony and despair after like, losing the last thing he had." But it was pretty crazy. It was pretty funny.
Getting into soundtrack, I gave it an 8. I thought it was a really good score. I thought the opening scene, obviously, where they kind of run through the news telling of the death of Charles Kane. I thought that was pretty well done. And then obviously music worked in between. I think it perfectly conveyed plot points and nothing too much more than that. I think it was really well done.
Yeah, totally agree. Just so good at, being in tune with the story. It doesn't take away from the story. And I think that's what's kind of most important. It doesn't take away. It adds, it subconsciously like lets you know what emotion is going on, what emotion you're supposed to be feeling, if we're nervous at the moment, if we're all happy and excited. And then good music. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I gave it an 8.
The theme, I gave it a 9. I think the themes were a big highlight of this movie as well. Obviously, the hollowness of the American dream. We always see the American dream portrayed in a very bright and happy manner. But this is definitely the dark side of it, and showing that in film is really interesting to see. Yeah, the impossibility of just truly knowing another person. So many people throughout this film thought they knew Charles Kane, and then we see so many different perspectives on him. It's like, yeah, you
Yeah.
saw this side of him. You saw this side. You saw this other side. That
Hmm.
was definitely interesting to see, and especially us seeing all these different perspectives on how he is as a man. Obviously, we talked about the corruption of wealth and power, and then also the ruthless ambition that kind of made him fall into this deep personal void.
Yeah. Ruthless ambition, idea that money fixes all. I mean, the idea that money fixes all is a lie sold to
Yeah.
us through the newspapers. It's just something that he was pushing and that he thought was true, the American dream to some extent. But he started off well intended, supposed to be the white knight, and then just this corruption of himself. I really like how you said so many people knew him, but like didn't actually know it. And that whole time I was kind of wondering because we're getting this all this information about this guy from these other people. Like,
Mhm.
memories are kind of influenced on based on your opinion of the person sometimes when
Mhm.
talking about something like that. So I just thought that was something fun to think about there. But 8 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Give it a 9.
The editing, obviously, keep harping on it. Orson Welles is just amazing at this. I gave it a
Dude.
10.
So
It kind of revolutionized the nonlinear storytelling too. From what I read, that wasn't a very common thing either. All the jumping we did in this film, I think it was perfectly done. Me and Tyler have talked about before on the show just kind of how you screw nonlinear storytelling up, it can end very badly. You have to really sit down and make sure that it works for an audience. So having the fragmented narrative structure, I think was perfect for him. And I think it was perfectly done in this movie. I wouldn't have changed much. Yeah, the flashbacks were pretty crazy. The seamless manipulation of time through it as well. I never
mhm.
felt like I was lost or confused about what was going on. Just perfectly done again by Orson Welles.
Yeah, totally agree. The camera keeps you and the way that it was edited as well, it keeps you so engaged with the story. And it is a hard story to convey because we're showing this man's life through the lens of talking to different people. And, you know, we're quickly jumping back and forth a lot of times between, reality, the past, and like a past within a past, like someone else's thought within that. They did such a good job. He did such a good job. I mean, it was him and Greg, someone else. I forget who the main guy who's helped him out on this movie was. And I think it's kind of debated as to like who gets the most credit when it comes to the editing and the
Yeah.
cinematography. But either way, it's I just how I have it in here so much. This is the textbook. This is like I told my mom that we were watching this movie. She's like, "Oh, I took a class, and that was the first movie we watched."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I know," and I think it should be. It like there's you this it is a textbook, and you just see so many techniques that they formed and really implemented so well used in Hollywood nowadays.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 as well,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Overall, I gave this movie an 8.4 out of 10 or an 84. Like you said, just textbook. I mean, this is how you do it. And to be done at such an early time in Hollywood, I think it's just amazing. Everybody, references this movie. I imagine you could watch pretty much any movie coming out now and pull something and be like, oh, this Orson Welles had a doing in this. He kind of innovated this to where it is today.
Yeah, overall, I've got it at 8.1.
Yeah.
Think that should be a little higher. Like if I was going to give it a score out of 10 on my mind, I'd probably throw it closer to like 9,
Yeah.
9.1, because I think that's undoubtedly where this deserves to be. But it's iconic. And like you said, you're seeing this everywhere. One of my like favorite scenes that I was thinking about is when he's like just sitting in the seat clapping,
Yeah.
clapping all hard. And I'm thinking about Shia LaBeouf sitting in his seat, like clapping at his own movies.
Yeah.
That little show he did. So I think it's fantastic. There's so much rewatch value. There's so much you can learn about filmmaking and editing, and how to introduce characters and just how to make a movie from this.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I'm gonna give it a personal 9.1.
Yeah. Really great. Really great.
Yeah, man.
So, kind of getting into, what Orson Welles was great at. We have a pretty fun draft today. We're going to do a cinematography draft. This is one of the more fun categories that I've been coming up with. So, how it'll work is we'll basically do a snake style draft. So, we'll spin a wheel to see who goes first. And the categories will be Oscar win for best cinematography. The next category is noir. The next category being black and white. After that, tracking shot takes. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole movie, but just a movie that has a really cool tracking shot take that you like. And then also stunning landscapes. So again, doesn't have to be necessarily like an earth landscape. It can just be a landscape shot showing like kind of a broad picture of what's going on in the scene, and then wild card at the end. So let me spin the wheel, figure out who's going first. Some really great movies going to come up today, I'm sure. All right, I'm going first and Drew will be second. So I'll go, Drew will get two
Sweet.
picks, then I'll get two picks.
Sweet, sweet.
So for my first pick, I'm going to go with the tracking shot take category and take one of my favorites that you mentioned earlier. I'm going to take 1917. This whole movie is tracking shots, and I think it's so perfectly done.
Yeah. Wow, dude, what a great movie. It is. It's like one long term fucking
Yeah.
tracking shot. You just can't stop. It's great. So you said you get two?
No, you get two now.
Okay, I get two now. Sweet. Give me I'm gonna take landscape shots. Personal favorite, Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Okay.
Just love that. I was struggling between that and Into the Wild. Those are both two of my favorite, just great landscape shot movies. But I think the Secret Life of Walter Mitty does a great job of incorporating landscapes with the story.
Yeah.
So really fun. And then I'll take black and white. Give me 12 Angry Men. Just
Yeah.
another old school classic. We've got complex characters with a simple plot, and we let the actors do all the work.
Yeah.
Draws you into the story.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to have to get this one off the board because I know Drew will take it. I'm going to take for Oscar win for best cinematography. I'm going to go ahead and take La La Land.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a Justin movie draft without a La La Land. And
Dude,
then,
what a good movie.
yeah, so well done. Let me see here. I think I'm going to go ahead. I'll leave that because there's a lot there I like. I'm going to take my noir movie and I'm going to take Blade Runner 2049.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I actually just watched that recently for the first time.
Wow. Yeah.
I know, right?
Pretty amazing.
All
Huh?
that in theaters. Holy shit.
Yeah. The cinematography in that movie is just so amazing. It's crazy to me.
Awesome. So is it my turn?
Yep. You got two picks.
Two picks. All right, I'm gonna take my wild card. Throw in just another personal favorite. We're gonna go Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Okay.
One of the greatest movies of all time. The scale of what they accomplished at the timeline that they did it with these 3 movies is fantastic. I think the acting and the writing is underrated and has a lot more to be spoken for, but just just top notch. So I'm taking that one. And then, I guess I gotta take my Oscar winner. Damn, you took 1917, dude. You're a bastard. I gotta pivot here real quick.
I want to say I have 3 Oscar winners for best cinematography on my team right now. All 3 of
Dude,
those won.
you grabbed La La Land in 1917. You're a bastard.
And Blade Runner
And
2049.
Blade Runner. I know
There's some good ones
I'm
out
having
there
to
still.
sift. No, no, there are. I'm just working through it. You know what? I don't know if you've seen it. I'm a big fan of, like, I know I didn't say this earlier. I kind of fumbled on my intro talking about movies I liked. Dude, but, like, love anything like medieval, no, like old school fighting, like battles,
Yeah.
swords and stuff like that. So I'm gonna throw Braveheart on there.
Okay.
Just fantastic story mixed in with some of the best large scale action scenes you'll see.
And that you're taking that for Oscar? Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. So let's see. I have a couple here. I think for black and white, there's 2 good ones. I'm going to go ahead and take Schindler's List. We watched this with the Steven Spielberg episode we did, and I've never fully sat down and watched it until then, but just wow. Some of the shots, I mean, very long movie. One of the few I'm okay with being so long, but just such amazing shots and so well told. And, the story, but also using the camera work to tell the story was pretty amazing too.
Okay. I need to watch that one. It's high on the list. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. I haven't seen it yet, too.
And then my next one, I'll go ahead and take Stunning Landscape, movie that one of my favorite movies of all time. Just some amazing shots of space. I'm going to go ahead and take 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Ooh, nice. Nice.
Just for, yeah, considering that we talked about Touch of Evil and this movie came out 10 years later, it's just amazing to me that it came out that long ago
Yeah.
and was still this well done.
Yeah. It's pretty insane. The timing of that movie.
Yeah.
Just how impressive it is. 100% agree.
So you'll have your final 2 picks here.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I still have tracking. Fantastic. I thought I already did that. I was excited about that one. Honorable mention tracking, True Detective, episode 5, when I don't know if you've seen True Detective season 1 yet, when he's tracking,
This
you
has
got some
been a whole
TV to
bit,
watch.
dude. Tyler's
You
on
got
my
some
butt to watch
TV
this.
to watch. Dude, Justin, it's a movie. It's an
Yeah.
8-hour movie. It's fantastic, but you get to break it up into hour segments.
Yeah.
Each episode is fantastic, but there's a tracking shot in there that will blow your fucking mind.
Okay.
So, but for my tracking movie, shout out Hayden Tobin. We're going to take Children of Men, great dystopian future kind of sci-fi film set up where, the human race is failing. There's only one fix for this guy. And there's this awesome tracking shot in the car that's probably like 4 minutes long,
Yep.
where there's so much going on. And then for my noir movie, dude, Touch of Evil.
Yeah.
I mean, that was so good. That is, I know I've said textbook a million times today, but that feels like it, just because it was. I mean, that's my textbook. So yeah, Touch of Evil for a noir movie. I don't think it gets much better than that. And if so, I'd love to start watching some more noir.
Yeah. I have one more pick here for my wild card and a lot of different directions I could go, but I had another noir one that I was going to take if Blade Runner was gone. So I'm going to take The Batman, Robert Pattinson's The Batman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. See,
I think the
I'm thinking too old
cinematography
school.
in this movie was very underrated. I think it was so well done. I think Gotham was perfectly done. It just felt like a comic book, and to be able to pull that off in the real world was pretty great.
Yeah. I think he's going to kind of stand the test of time.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite, like, Batman adaptions. Robert Pattinson just killed it. Absolutely killed it. And also just the world building around him. It perfectly fit, like, the detective, element of Batman, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Definitely a great movie, man. Good pick. Good pick.
So I'm going to read through a couple honorable mentions before we read through our teams. There were some big movies that we didn't even talk about just because there's some really great cinematography movies out there. One is There Will Be Blood. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now is another big one that people talk about all the time. For noir, Watchmen. Have you seen Watchmen before?
I actually haven't. I feel like I've
Yeah.
seen all of it on YouTube Shorts, though.
Yeah, that is a noir film, 100%. Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro. That one's pretty interesting. And Memento 2, Christopher Nolan.
Great movie.
Black and White, The Lighthouse. I don't know if you've seen that. That's a good one. Robert Pattinson there. Tracking Shots. Goodfellas is another big one. Has a lot of tracking shots in it. Stunning Landscapes. I think we got all those. And then I had another one, Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think the cinematography in that one is amazing too. Do you
Wow.
have any other ones that we didn't talk about?
Yeah, something that's been on my mind is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that. I
Yeah.
love that movie. The Life Aquatic, a lot of Wes Anderson stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
touch on that earlier, but you mentioned Fantastic Mr. Fox, and my girlfriend and I have been watching a good bit of Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
So just a huge fan there. So the Grand Budapest Hotel, The Life Aquatic, Fantastic Mr. Fox. There's a cool like Netflix miniseries on there as well. But yeah, man, there's so many good movies out there.
Yeah,
That
Coen
you
Brothers
can.
is a big one too. They're huge in cinematography work. So yeah, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? No Country for Old
Mhm.
Men, all that stuff.
Yep. No Country for Old Men. Great. Yeah, man. You can keep this show going forever. Never gonna run out, dude.
So yeah, if you want to go ahead and just read through your team, or I can start. So for mine, I did Oscar win for best cinematography. I did La La Land.
Mhm.
Noir, I did Blade Runner 2049. Black and White, I did Schindler's List. Tracking Shots, I did 1917. Stunning Landscapes, I did 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then my wild card, I took the Batman.
Nice. Nice. I forgot what I just chose for my Oscar.
You chose Braveheart.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. My Oscar cinematography, we're taking Braveheart, noir movie. Gonna rock Touch of Evil, Black and White, 12 Angry Men. Tracking, Children of Men with an honorable mention to True Detective. Landscape, Stunning Landscapes, Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And then for our wild card, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
What a blast.
Madison will post a graphic up on Instagram and TikTok so people will vote and we'll see who had the better draft.
Yeah, we're gonna see. I think you may have got me.
Awesome, man. Well,
I'm
I
hopeful.
appreciate having you on. We'll definitely have you on again. You really killed it. You brought up so many things I never even thought of before. So we'll definitely have you back for sure.
Dude, I would love to. I can't wait, man. This was a blast. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And we'll see you guys next week.